In this lecture, we have to open the following model, and then we have to check how many configurations of this model exist. So we have this part open. Let's go to Configuration Manager, and here we have A, B, and C configurations. So we have 3 configurations. In the task 2, we have to create a new configuration B1 from the existing configuration B, and then calculate the mass of the new configuration. So let's active configuration B. Let's right-click, add derived configuration B1. And let's calculate the mass. 219.39. And this is correct result. In the task 3, we have to suppress the cut extrude 4 and boss extrude 5 in the configuration C and then calculate the mass. So let's go to configuration C. Let's go to Feature Manager Design Tree, and we have to suppress cut extrude 4, this one, suppress, and we have to suppress boss extrude 5, this one. And now calculate the mass properties, 714.77 grams, and this is correct result. In the question 4, we have to create configuration A1 from configuration A, and we have to add a rip here with thickness 2 millimeters, and here we have dimensions 50 millimeters and 25 millimeters from the origin. And then we have to calculate the mass of the part. So let's go to Configuration Manager, let's active A, right click, and let's create a new configuration A1. Now let's go to Feature Manager, let's choose front plane, and let's here create a line. Let's go to Sketch, and we have a line like this. Let's put a margin here, we have 50 millimeters here. And we have 25 millimeters here. Let's click OK, let's go to Features, Rip, and we have thickness 2 millimeters, and OK. Like this, and now let's calculate the mass. The mass is 629.52 grams, and this is correct. In the task 5, we have to create a design table, and then we have to create a new configuration C1 by copying configuration C, and then we have to change the following parameters in the design table for configuration C1: boss extrude 1, D2 sketch 1, and boss extrude 3, D1 boss extrude 3 to 5 millimeters, and then we have to calculate the mass. So first let's see where we have those parameters. So we have boss extrude 1, let's edit sketch, and let's find this parameter. Let's double click here, and this is the first parameter that we have to add to the design table and change the value for configuration C1. Let's exit sketch, and the second one is boss extrude 3, this one. Let's double click here, and we have this one 10, and this is D1 boss extrude 3, and this is the second parameter that we have to add to the design table and change value to 5 millimeters for configuration C1. Now, when we know those parameters, let's create design table. Let's go to Tables and Design Table. Let's leave here everything as it is, and let's click OK. So we have here our configurations. So the first step, we have to copy configuration C, and we have to create configuration C1 by copying this one to the row 8. So we have this one, C. Let's click here, Ctrl C to row 8, Ctrl V. Here we can change the name from C to C1, like this. Let's expand this. So now we have to add a new parameter. So we have this one, boss extrude 1. So let's double click here. And now we have to choose this dimension. We have 10 millimeters here. Let's double click on the 10. And now we have here D2 sketch 1. And for the configuration C here in the last row, we have to type 5. And now we have to add a second parameter. So let's click on this cell and let's double click on this feature here. And here we have our dimension 10 millimeters. Let's double click on this one. And now we have here D1 boss extrude 3. And we have to change this one to 5 for configuration C1. And this is it. And now we can click here and exit the table. So now let's go to configuration C1. We see the changes, 5 millimeters thickness here and here. And let's calculate the mass. And this is 589.93 grams. And this is correct result. In this task, we have to modify the diameter of the cylinder from 30 to 25. So we have two cylinders here, this one, and we have to modify them and calculate the mass of the part. So let's click on this cylinder. This is boss extrude 1. Let's open this and let's edit sketch. So here we see that we have linked values. So let's change this dimension to 25. And this dimension changes automatically. That's it. Let's click OK. Let's exit sketch. And this is it. Let's calculate the mass. And we have 129.76 grams. And this is correct result. In the task 2, we have to modify the thickness of the rib from 10 to 5 millimeters. So we have two ribs here, 1 and 2. And then we have to calculate the mass. So let's click on the rib. So we have a rib here. Let's edit rib. So here is the thickness, 10 millimeters. Let's type in 5 millimeters. And OK. And now let's calculate the mass. 119.52 grams. And this is correct result. In the task 3, we have to modify this model. Instead of square, we have to create a slot here. And then we have to fix errors and calculate the mass of the part. So we have 30 millimeters here. We have radius 15. And here we have the rib point 35 millimeters from the origin. So we have to change this part. So let's click on this one, this feature. Let's open sketch. Like this. We can delete this. And let's create a slot here. Like this. So we have here 30 millimeters. And we have here 30 millimeters as well. That's okay. Now we have this point and this point vertical. And we have this line and this edge collinear. And okay, let's exit sketch. We have some errors. Let's continue and ignore. Like this. Now let's go to cut extrude 2. And here we have problem with this hole. And this hole probably doesn't have defined the sketch plane. So we're going to right click on the sketch 6, edit sketch plane. So we see there a missing face. So let's define a new one by clicking on this face. And that's it. Okay, let's continue. We have a problem with rib. So let's go to sketch. Let's edit rib sketch. So we have a problem with this point. Let's delete this coincidence. Let's put this point here. And now we have to define a new dimension, 35, from the origin to this point. We have 35 millimeters. And let's click OK. Let's exit sketch. And we have a problem also with contour bore. We have a problem of the sketch plane as well. So we can right click on the sketch plane. So we are missing face, and let's choose new face, this one, and OK. And this is it. We fixed all errors. And now we can calculate the mass. Mass properties, 151.79 grams. And this is correct result. In the task 4, we have to delete those holes here. So they are gone. And we have to modify this dimension to 60 millimeters of this feature. And then we have to calculate the mass. So those holes are in sketch 1. So let's edit sketch. And you can just simply delete those circles, this one and this one. Let's exit sketch. Let's continue. So we have some error with the chamfer, because this chamfer doesn't exist anymore, so we can delete. This was chamfer on the hole. And the next, we have to modify this part. So let's open Boss Extrude 2, Sketch 2. Let's edit sketch from 40 to 60 here. Like this, let's click OK, and let's exit sketch. 197.56 grams, and this is correct result. In the task 5, we have to modify the model. So we have to change the hole with diameter 5 millimeters. This one, it has to go through all. And then we have to modify sketch 1. So instead of circle, we have to create a rectangle here and here. And then we have to repair radius here, 10 millimeters, on this side and this side. As well here, instead of cylinder, instead of circle, we have a square rectangle. So we have to change this one as well. And then we have to calculate the mass of the part. So first, let's fix this hole. So we see that this hole doesn't go through all. So this is cut extrude 2. Let's go edit, feature. So down here we have a feature scope, and we have selected bodies cut extrude 1. Let's check auto select, and let's click OK. And now we see that this hole goes through all. Now we have to change this cylinder, and we have to create rectangle. But before we do so, we have to change cut to rectangle as well. So let's go and let's edit this sketch to rectangle. So let's make this sketch for construction. Let's go to center rectangle. Let's make this and this line equal. Let's make this line and this circle tangent, and OK. Let's exit sketch. Let's continue those errors. Now we have to fix this boss extrude. Let's edit sketch, and let's delete this circle. So we can go to convert entities. We can choose this edge, this edge, this edge, and this edge, and let's exit sketch. Continue. So we have a problem with rip. Now as we look, we have two bodies, body 1 and body 2. So we have to go to this feature and check if merge result is active. So we have this one, boss extrude 4. Let's edit. And we see that it's not active, and that's why we have two bodies, and that's why rip doesn't work. So let's check this one. And let's click OK. And now everything is fixed. Now let's change this sketch. So let's go to boss extrude 1 and sketch 1. Let's edit. So instead of those circles, we must have rectangles here. Now let's make those circles for construction. Like this. And now let's create a rectangle here. So we have 22 millimeters here. and we have 30 millimeters here. Let's create a rectangle here as well. And we can just simply click on this line, and let's make those two lines equal. And let's make this line and this line equal as well. Now if we look close, we see that we have an open sketch. So we have to extend those lines. Let's go to extend entities here and here. Let's check other side. So as well here and here. And this is it. Now let's exit sketch. And we have a problem here. We don't see those rectangles. So let's go to boss extrude 1. Let's edit feature. And here we see that they're not selected. Selected contours. So let's click here and let's select this one and this one. Let's click OK. Okay, this is it. And now we have some errors. So we have an error here in the sketch 1, boss extrude 2. Now this feature before had a sketch on this face, but this face was here in the middle. Now we have to define a new sketch plane. So let's right click here on the sketch, edit sketch plane, and let's choose this face. Let's continue. And we have here problem with rib. So let's go to sketch of the rib like this. So let's click here and let's delete this coincident. Let's click on the line. Let's clear this tangent relation because we don't have a circle anymore. So we don't need this tangent. We're gonna make coincident between this point and this vertex here. And this is it. Now this sketch is fully defined. Let's exit. Let's continue. And now our rib is here. And we have a problem with fillets. So we only need fillets here and here. So let's delete those fillets. All three. And let's define a new fillets. We have 10 millimeters. We have one here and one here. And OK. And this is it. Now we can calculate the mass. Evaluate mass properties. And we have 238.43 grams. And this is correct result.